Be a man of bravery, be a man of bravery, this is what you are, this is what you are,
Hello and welcome to yet another broadcast of Skills Update. I'm your host, Franlin Thomas. We are coming to you live from the Dome in Swakopmund, Namibia, where the WorldSkills Africa 2022 Swakopmund is underway for the fourth day. As usual in this time slot, we will cross over to the Competition Skills Hall as well as the Exhibition Hall, and we'll also find out more about the Africa Champions Trust. A lot more interviews coming up. We're also going to focus on the TVET conference, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Euphrasia Mulenga is the WorldSkills Champions Trust Regional Representative for Africa. She competed in aircraft maintenance for Zambia at WorldSkills Abu Dhabi 2017. She is currently attending WorldSkills Africa Swakopmund 2022 to share her story with other young people as well as competitors and voice the needs of youth to policymakers and other stakeholders in the field of TVET. Hello Euphrasia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
I want you, first of all, to tell me a little bit more about the African Trust Championship, or what's the wording around that? Tell us more about it. What is it all about?
Currently, what we have is WorldSkills Champion Trust on an international level.
Okay.
But that definitely has inspired an idea in WorldSkills Africa that is still being worked on to see how we can still engage the African competitors to still get connected to WorldSkills.
Mm-hmm. So what is your role basically as the representative?
My role currently at an international level, firstly, is to represent Africa. Mm-hmm. I belong to a volunteer group, and my role is to be the voice of the youth, to stand here, to inspire, to speak about the youth, and to encourage them in many ways.
All right. Now you were in Abu Dhabi in 2017. For many people, it might seem it's a long time ago, but I'm sure in terms of the lessons and the experiences that you've learned that you can share some of those with us.
My experience in WorldSkills Abu Dhabi 2017 was a little bit challenging in a good way.
Okay. Exactly.
I was not exposed to the state-of-art equipment at that stage. And having been a competitor introduced to a floor with the state-of-art equipment that I haven't trained and practiced with, even though I had familiarization day where we actually get to familiarize yourself with the tools that are on the floor, it wasn't enough time for me to actually get to know everything. But I used it in a positive way to just expose myself to this equipment. It also actually gave me a desire to want to see this equipment for my training school back home where I practiced. It also encouraged me so much because at the time when I was competing, I was not a licensed engineer, but I competed with licensed engineers. So it really encouraged me to work hard, upskill, and today I am a licensed engineer.
I have to give you a high five for that. You said with so much passion. In your country, in Zambia in particular, are there are there females, especially amongst your peers, that are also in, what people regard as, non-traditional? Share with us that experience in your country.
We still have a lot of industry, particularly maybe I would say my skill, where it's a male-dominated field. Mm-hmm. But we still have a few ladies that are there as role models to inspire. I may be young, but slowly growing up to be that role model for other ladies. And I've actually seen this in my field, that the number of ladies that are now enrolling for this course are getting more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And I believe with this network and being able to speak about ladies in skill and male-dominated skills, they're able to get the message and feel comfortable and be encouraged to get into the male-dominated fields.
Now, you are now currently attending WorldSkills Africa, Swakopmund. This is only the second time that it's being held on the African continent. You've been here a couple of days. What can you tell us in terms of what you've observed until now?
The background has been set. I would say the foundation for WorldSkills Africa has been set. Skills are being showcased, and we still have an opportunity to do more for WorldSkills Africa. We are driving the message of promoting TVET, and within the African countries, I think we need to identify in our countries our strengths and our weaknesses and help each other respectively. If Ghana is good at engineering and Kenya is lacking that, the two countries can always come together and help each other and strengthen us. I feel that is what we need to do for Africa at this stage.
So much emphasis in the past was put on tertiary education, not realizing that people, especially young people, can do so much more, than just being academically inclined, go to university and study. And I think personally for me, even as a mother, it teaches me as a mother that if my kids are growing up, I do not necessarily and should not as a parent put so much pressure on them just to become doctors. But there's nothing wrong with using your hands as a skill to also, make a living. In terms of young people and the importance of TVET in general in Africa, are government leaders doing enough to provide effective tools and an enabling environment for especially young people to grow the economy through TVET?
That is a work in process. Definitely I have seen, and I personally feel we need to get to a point to reach more to the unmentioned people, or the people that are not able to access this on maybe a higher level basis. And the power of skills is it empowers you as a person and helps you stand out and be confident in what you do and who you are. And we actually need to get to the societies where this is not spoken about. We need to get in those areas to help them understand. And for those parents, for example, who feel maybe children should only do one specific thing or maybe would want to choose for them, I would really want for them to reflect on passion. When you do something that you are passionate about, it shows in everything that you do. You are more productive.
More happy.
Exactly, and happy. You think better. There's better problem solving. So that is what I would actually speak to the parents out there. Yeah.
Right. Any last remarks from your side? As the skills competition is also will very soon round up, and the African champion will be crowned that will represent the continent in Shanghai, China.
My last remarks would be 2017, when I competed in Abu Dhabi 5 years ago. It was a dream for me to see African countries come together for the purpose of skills. And 5 years later today, I'm actually living that dream. So what I would like for the competitors to actually take from this is to understand the power of skills and what they can do with skills. And also I'd like to encourage them to continue dreaming, because I am living the dream currently to see African countries gather for the power of skills. I'm seeing it happening, and I would wish for them to continue dreaming and looking out for better heights.
Euphrasia Mulenga, WorldSkills Champions Trust Regional Representative for Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll continue with our broadcast shortly. Do stay with us.
I am a former student in vocational here in VTC, and all the years when I was here, that was 13 years back, we never had a disability student here. So I now feel or came up with the idea of no disability youth must be left out, because they are also just normal people like others. Like in my case, when I said I have apprentices that are with VTC, a joint venture with NTA, those kids, when you give them a job to do, they don't look around or they don't copy because they focus more. So our aim is also to, in Africa at large or other VTCs, to look into this, that no disability, doesn't matter if the person is on wheelchair, doesn't matter if the person is blind. Thank you to VTC to have so different trades. VTC have so far students that are blind. They had one girl. And then we have also in motor mechanic, we have kids that are deaf. And then in joinery, we also have deaf kids. So we feel vocational education is for all, not only for people that are normal, not only for the youth that are having all the body parts. So we have to look into this. Ministry of Education, Higher Education have to introduce this to all the VTCs. And also the challenges we face now, which was on the blind, if they can look into that, how they can braille the books, and so that the blind kids cannot be left out.
My name is Andreas. My surname is Unyema. Yeah, I'm a student at VTC doing my level 2. Last year I was doing my level 1. So before I get here, one of my deaf friends invited me to come here. So then I accepted, and then I applied. I was accepted. So it felt like doing this course was very dangerous for me. So the instructor gave me some guidelines and some safety precaution measures, and yeah, I stick onto that, and I am improving.
I also want to encourage more youth to go into interpreter or the deaf language, so we can have more translators in vocational education. If you are sitting at home, you have nothing to do, there's a lot of colleges that can teach you how to translate deaf. So yeah.
Bom, bom.
Welcome back. We continue with our broadcast from the Dome, Swakopmund, where WorldSkills Africa 2022 is still underway. Remember that there are a couple of things happening. It's not only the skills competition that is underway, but there is also a career exhibition where even if you are at home here in Swakopmund or you're a learner, you can actually make a turn at the exhibition hall so that you can have a look at some of the interesting careers that your kids would be interested. They do not necessarily have to go to university. If they are good with hairdressing, if they are good with any other thing that requires them working with their hands, you can make a turn at the exhibition hall. For now, though, we're going to cross over to Emil Seibeb, our roving reporter, to give us an update on what's happening at the competition site. Emil, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Franlin. You look stunning, I must say. Day 4 of the competition. Good afternoon to our viewers across Africa that is tuned in. Day 4, and I'm at the automobile section. The mood, the atmosphere, the competition is ongoing. The skill sets, the challenges are getting more and more intense. I visited today earlier the automobile section. I could just see the Namibian contestant at the back finalizing. He was busy with the engine overhaul. But today I'm joined by the chief expert in the automobile section. How are you?
I'm really well. It's really exciting to be here.
I can see. Yeah. You earlier explained about the individual task that started yesterday, continues today. The contestant or the competitors were rotating the task today. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, our skill is broken up to 15 hours of competition, but we break it up into 5 3-hour tasks. So the competitors have the task to complete, but also they have a time frame as well, which puts a little bit more stress. Each task is based on what an automotive technician would do in the real world. So our 5 tasks are, from here we have braking systems where we put service and repair and diagnostic faults in brakes. Then there's a suspension task, again, removing components and repairing. Down the end there we have body electrical, which simulates all the electrical issues we can have in our vehicle. Next to that is our engine overhaul, completely pull down and rebuild an engine. Behind me here we have our engine management. That's where the car just stops on the side of the road and gets towed back. So we've got faults like that. So the competitors today all our competitors are here. They've just finished their morning 3-hour session, going to de-stress at lunch and come back. And this afternoon we have, I've just got to think of the timetable. We have Namibia on brakes, I believe. We have South Africa is going to be on body electrical. We have DRC on the engine overhaul. And we have Ghana on the engine mechanical diagnosis.
Yesterday when we were speaking, I'm not sure whether it was yesterday or earlier today, I asked the time frames that the competitors are given. Are they realistic? I look at the engine, then it's 3 hours for you to put this together. Is it realistic in the real world?
Look, they're all done with realistic times for best industry practice. Some of them we load up a little bit to put a bit of extra stress and a bit of excitement in as well. The engine overhaul is a big task. And again, it's the first time we've run at this over here in Namibia. So it's a bit of a getting it right. Sometimes we get it a bit wrong. But if we look at a couple of competitors have finished a couple of modules before time, a couple are a little bit late. So it's a way of assessing, okay, we've got to have a winner at the end. Are you efficient? Are you quick? And can you do the job? So it puts a little bit of pressure on them as well.
Well, winner here is going to represent the African continent in Asia this year, Shanghai. Are they skilled? Are they ready generally?
What we look at, the best way to train someone for, say, the Shanghai comp is to go through a practice like this. Are they ready? This is not much different than what we're going to do in Shanghai. It's a lot more pressure. Between now and then, if they train and keep going, it's significant training, they'll be ready for Shanghai.
There is Grant Patch from Australia, all the way from Australia. He's the chief expert in the automobile technologies. at the WorldSkills competition, it is not WorldSkills Africa competition, it is not only about the skill set, it is not only about the competition or the competitors on the floor. What one has observed here, what I've observed here, is the interaction between the competitors from these countries, learning about their cultures, learning the languages, the experience in the country. I'm also going to call on Ceajay. He's a competitor from South Africa in the automobile technology section. Are you winning?
Yes, well, I wouldn't say winning yet. We only found that out after the competition. But yes, things are going well.
How is your experience so far? Have you ever been working under so much this pressure? How do you find the competition?
That's a very good experience. I've worked under pressure before, but it's a different kind of pressure. You know, you're working against other guys that are doing exactly the same task, and you know, obviously everybody wants to win the competition, but it's also about learning. And I've learned quite a bit. So yes.
Ceajay, what have you done since you arrived here Monday? The competition officially started on Tuesday. What were your challenges?
Okay, on Monday it was just basic familiarization of the workshop. My first task was brakes, which was on the white car over there. My second task was engine overhaul yesterday, and then today I did the engine management section, and later on today I'm going to be doing body electrics.
All the best for the competition. That's Ceajay Bosman. He represents Team South Africa in the automobile technology. Now we go for a quick break and we'll be right back.
I think it's something that's very, very close to our heart. It speaks to skills development in our country. We all know the reality, you know, in Namibia in terms of unemployment, and everything that we can do to contribute in terms of skills development, in terms of employment creation. We are gladly, you know, sitting at the table to see where we can contribute our small part to make a difference in the country. You know, we must do everything that we can to really get momentum into these programs, to get our people skilled up, to get our people involved and part of the bigger system. It gives us great exposure also globally to show what we're already doing, but also in terms of the hard work that still lies ahead. We have a wonderful relationship with the NTA, and I tip my hat to them in terms of the really good work that they're doing, especially in terms of impact. I want to highlight the apprenticeship program. You know, we are involved in taking in apprentices, and that is something that I think all of us can make a big difference in terms of Namibia's future, where we really transfer those skills. We upskill the general workforce, so it's in the interest of all employers, but also some of those people will go on and be entrepreneurs and even create employment themselves. We're very proud of what we have there. I think it's a world-class hotel, but I think more importantly is our people. It's the Gondwana culture, it's our warm and friendly service, and if we can part some of that in terms of apprentices and new trainees, that'll be wonderful, and it's also good for the wider industry in Namibia. I would really encourage other employers, especially in the private sector, to reach out to the NTA or reach out to us in terms of our experience here. It really, truly is a win-win. You get the opportunity, you know, to give people access without the long-term commitment. So inevitably, you keep the best, but also you send into the industry better skilled people from the private sector. It really is a win-win, and like I said, our experience with the NTA on that regard has only been fantastic. I think first and foremost, you know, with the event itself, best of luck. We will be there and we will be watching. And let's make sure that there's a real impact coming from this. You know, let's create the momentum and let's keep that momentum going.
Welcome back. Now, a major component of WorldSkills Africa 2022 is the TVET conference, where policymakers, industry and experts are attending it under the theme Promoting Skills Development in the 21st Century for Sustainable Growth and African Ownership. The conference is coming to an end today, and quite a number of presentations and discussions were held by esteemed conference goers. Now, to tell us more and reflect on what has been happening, I'm joined by Kristofina, Junias, the Deputy Chairperson of the TVET Conference Organizing Committee. Kristofina, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So much emphasis, Kristofina, is placed on the skills competition, most probably so because it really focuses on young people, and obviously the career exhibition, where there's a lot of interest as well from young people. But people tend to forget that it is at an event such as the TVET conference where policy decisions are made that can bring about change for the industry. Your views on that?
All right, let me try to establish the link between the TVET conference and the skills competition. The TVET conference, that is where theories and concepts that are underpinning the TVET are discussed. That is where people discuss challenges facing African TVET systems and try to come up with solutions, right? So for people to showcase their skills through competition, there is a theory, there is a concept that is behind, and that happens in the conference. For example, if we talk about the best way to develop the curriculum for TVET, if we don't then develop the curriculum, an effective or a relevant curriculum, it affects the skills that these students are showing right now in those workshop areas. If we are discussing about the best ways to train TVET teachers, because the quality of the education depends on the quality of a well-trained teacher, because they transfer the skills to those students that are competing. If then they are not well-trained, so it will show in the workshop area that the students are showing their skills now. If we are talking about funding, for example, if we don't have proper funding models that can fund TVET such that we buy all the equipments or updated equipments, it will still show in the skills that the students are trying to show now in the competition area.
So basically you are saying all these themes that have actually been discussed since Tuesday, and it is continuing today with a lot of focus on gender, that the rest of what's happening right now at WorldSkills also wouldn't have been possible. Thank you so much for that. I do want to quickly say now, they say the purpose of presentations was to generate knowledge, share experiences, benchmark and innovate. I know it's very early, too early to ask you to comment on that, but are you hopeful that by the end of this WorldSkills Summit that we would have been able to achieve just that?
Yes. From my evaluation, I can say we have discussion questions for each theme. We have questions that we want answered from this conference. And from my evaluation, I would say that these questions, the presentations and the participants have managed to unpack issues and come up with solutions to these questions.
Now, an effective TVET system, that was the first theme for discussion on Tuesday in particular. Now, there's quite a lot of African countries also attending this TVET conference. What would you say are some of the common challenges that African countries face when it comes to TVET?
Right. African countries face similar challenges when it comes to TVET. And one of the main one is skills mismatch. The issues of funding, the issues of incompetent teachers or lack of quality teachers, issues of misalignments of curriculum to industry need. All these are the key challenges that African countries and even some of the developing countries are still struggling with. But in the cause effect analysis that I just did, for me, the key challenge is skills mismatch, because everything else that comes, everything else causes the skills mismatch. So skills mismatch is on top, and then we can say skills mismatch can then come from the misalignment or the curriculum that is not relevant to industry. The skills mismatch can also come from the low quality of teachers, because if your teachers are not well prepared, meaning that whatever they transfer to the students is not what industry needs. The issues of funding, if the TVET is not well funded, meaning we don't train students on updated equipment. So it means there is a misalignment between what industry is using with what is at the technical institutions. So that is what I would say is the key challenge facing TVET.
Now you touch on the issue of training for TVET teachers. That also came under discussion. How do conference goers or the organizing committee and WorldSkills Africa intend to really address that challenge in particular?
That is one of the biggest issue that is on the table right now. But the presenters and the speakers and the participants try to put things in context to say, what is the best way to train the TVET teachers? Because it is difficult to train a TVET teacher. It is not straightforward like training a teacher for general education, because in TVET, a TVET teacher has 2 legs. And these 2 legs are happening, for example, at 2 different institutions, right? It's the TVET skills that happens, for example, at the VTC, and then this person needs to go and teach but doesn't have the teaching methodology knowledge. So you have now to take to NAST now, like for example in Namibia, to get that component. And again, the TVET skills keep changing. Things are changing in industry. We have to keep up with industry to say, are our teachers transferring the skills that are needed by industry? So they also need now and then to go in to be attached also like students again. They need to go on something like industrial attachment again to familiarize themselves with the updates that are happening there, so that they are able to come and transfer this knowledge to students. So those are some of how to best train the TVET teachers.
Now, there's been obviously a lot of support in terms of international partners like the European Union, GIZ,
yes.
For this conference to take place. There seems to be a lot of global support for TVET across the world, but there is still this challenge with regard to TVET funding models, and this also came under discussion at the conference.
Yes. Funding models, and that's why you see we had Namibia, and then we had speakers talking about what is the funding model in Namibia, in South Africa, and Botswana, and Mauritius. I think those are the 4 countries in Africa that have got what they call VAT levy, where industry pays taxes in a form of VAT levy to fund TVET. And for me, this is the best model that I really wish each and every African country needs to adapt and adopt, based on their context, based on their nature of industry and the scale of their economies. The reason we are sharing it is because we have seen it is working. Yes, it comes with other challenges, but it's a model that works.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about TVET in relation to technology. I recall, especially when COVID hit Namibia, and the issue of online education became quite an issue. But especially those that were at vocational training centers across the country, those in the most rural of Namibia were suffering the most, because they were not in a position to actually go to class because they have to learn things practically. do African countries also face similar situations, especially if something global, as a pandemic, would happen to hit the continent? And this also, technology came under discussion. What were some of the results, if I may ask, or suggestions that emanated from the conference?
Right. TVET and technology. TVET was the hardest hit when Corona came, and because we were not prepared. E-learning and all these concepts have been mentioned, but mostly it was at university level and people trying to do all these ICT integration at basic or general education level. TVET, because we have that understanding that it's hands-on, so what is this or this technology are talking about? But with Corona, we had to learn the hard way to say, we can actually integrate the ICT into the teaching of TVET, though the challenge is not fully, because it's only a blended approach that can work for TVET. But the challenges that we still continue to face as African country is because for you to implement ICT integration in teaching, whether from basic education up to university, up to TVET, you need infrastructure. And this infrastructure, in ICT infrastructure, this includes electricity, this includes the lines, the telecom. That's why we saw telecom was on the panel discussion, because we need them. We can't do this on our own. Yeah.
As well as MTC.
Yes, MTC.
Now, my last question to you is, there was mention made about the African Continental Qualifications Framework by participants. Tell us more about that.
This is something that has started, actually. They've started establishing or developing the African Qualification Framework. The reason or the purpose for that is for skill transfer. It becomes easy that your qualification gets recognized everywhere in Africa. Because currently we have a situation where some African countries, for example, look at a qualification from Namibia and they'll say, you see? But when we have a unified qualification framework, there will be no problem. I can take my TVET qualification, go to Morocco, and it will still be looked as a quality qualification.
And recognized.
And recognized.
Well, Kristofina, it seems a lot was happening at the TVET conference, which in my view as well is just as important as the skills competition as well as the career exhibition. Thank you so much for giving us that brief update, and I'm sure by the end of this TVET conference that real tangible solutions would come from it in order to move Africa forward and to send the message that even though we lack a lot, but we as Africans are growing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'll continue with our broadcast after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm Franlin Thomas, and we continue with our broadcast, our live broadcast from the Dome in Swakopmund, where WorldSkills Africa 2022 is still underway. Let's find out what's happening at the exhibition hall, and Elago Shitaatala is going to speak to a major global partner and sponsor of the WorldSkills event, and their name is FESTO. Elago, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Franlin. There is quite a hive of activities down here at the exhibition floor. I've seen children walking around really curious about these TVET exhibitors that we have here that are exhibiting their products as well as their skills that they're offering here at the WorldSkills Africa Swakopmund 2022. Now, today's focus on the exhibitors, we are focusing on FESTO, and with me I am joined by Chris as well as Ceajay, and they're both from FESTO to tell us what FESTO is all about, as it is really playing a big role here at WorldSkills Africa Swakopmund 2022. Good afternoon, gentlemen. So I'd like to start with you, Chris. Please explain to us what FESTO really is.
So FESTO is one of the largest industrial automation companies in the world. We are a German-based company and a family-owned business that has been almost around for almost 100 years. And from the passion of the owners, they decided that they wanted to share this knowledge that we have, which is why they started the FESTO Didactic Department, where we focus on looking at industrial training, looking at the skills needed to run an industry. So we are the only company in the world that has an industrial and training department, which makes it very unique because the systems that we design and develop are based on latest technologies, looking at latest training techniques. And again, it speaks to the passion of FESTO wanting to share this information, wanting to share it with everyone to enhance the skills, which is also the reason why we are so heavily involved with WorldSkills, because of that exact same passion.
Thank you, Chris. Now, Treasure, Chris made mention that you are involved with WorldSkills. So explain that relationship to us, the relationship between FESTO and the WorldSkills.
Thank you. So FESTO has partnered with WorldSkills for 30 years now, and we've been supporting WorldSkills on different levels, sponsoring equipment and also providing technical expertise on the workshop floors as well. So some of the skills which we sponsor are the water technology, the very critical skill in Africa. We realize this at FESTO. Mechatronics, and also very good skill for Industrial Revolution. Industry 4.0 as well at the WorldSkills International, and many other different skills that we've supported in the past and that we still continue to support to this day.
All right. In which way exactly did FESTO sponsor the water technology and mechatronics skills?
So because we see these as critical skills needed in Namibia, which is not here, FESTO decided that we needed to take a big role in what we do here, and so we are a platinum sponsor for this event, and we were able to bring in all the equipment from Germany for the competitors to use for the competition. And the idea is to continue with that legacy. The equipment will not be going back to Germany, it will be staying in Namibia so that we can continue the momentum needed in the areas of water technology and your mechatronics, which is needed in the country for many various aspects and brand new projects which we see are coming into Namibia. It's a vital skills.
We're really happy to hear that the equipment will remain with us here in Namibia to help expand the skills in these industries. Now, you have fancy equipment here with you. Treasure, explain to us what this is really all about.
Thank you. This is what we call the tech to screen, and I think that the name is actually self-explanatory as well. Technology to screen. What I have here, it is an iPad. Almost every kid has another tablet or an iPad. Now, what we have done at FESTO is we have extended the features of that iPad by adding what we call the tech-to-screen base, which you can then slide your iPad into it, and you will then have features such as a multimeter, such as an oscilloscope features, I/Os that you can connect to a microcontroller and have a simulation pretty much like I have on the screen here. Have a simulation which will then be run by that microcontroller. So it offers wide range of features. It falls under the banner of what we call connected learning. Connected learning is all about interactive courses, and also that relates to software and hardware. An example of that would be over here I have what we call FESTO LX, which is our learning portal, has much greater to offer than the standard LMS system because it links with hardware. So there is courses here that instructs the students to say, open the oscilloscope, take readings, what do you see? That way, in the background, it monitors the students' performance and it gets to give them the feedback of how they have grown, and that information can then also be used as what we call portfolio of evidence that can then the teacher can then file and produce as what the students has been performing.
Very interesting, Treasure. And you, Chris, you have something looking like a flower. Is it a flower?
Of course, it's a bionic flower. So what we had a look at is we have these amazing skills that you've seen all around here. The problem is the kids are not excited about skills in some cases. And most of the time it's because they don't like maths and science. And so FESTO decided, how can we make maths and science and engineering exciting? And we call it STEM. And that is why we developed what we call Bionics for Education. Bionics for Education is looking at the biology, the mimicry, or looking at mimicry of what nature does every day to accomplish or to survive. And what we noticed is that we can use that same concept in our industrial applications. So what you have in front of here is just a simple flower, but a water lily opens and closes depending on daytime or nighttime. And so what we have done is the biology of that we have now brought into the electronic part, the maths and the science, so that they can now build a flower and control it by opening and closing it manually from their phones, or which nature then does naturally is add a light sensor, and when they adjust the light, the petals open and close and change colors depending on what the environment is doing. Again, bringing in the maths, the science and the technology together and taking a simple flower and making it exciting. We've also developed other bionic animals. We have another system there where you can build a bionic fish, a bionic elephant trunk, and a chameleon's tongue. And the great thing about that is it's actually used in industry. They're using it to practically use in production, just by simply looking at the way the tongue of a chameleon works. Such a simple concept, but now it has a huge effect on technology in what we do. So it's about making it exciting for the kids so that they want to do vocational skills, because vocational skills is the key for the country.
Thank you so much, Chris. We have unfortunately run out of time. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here and for sharing this exciting instruments with us and the concept of STEM being technologized, for the lack of a better word. Well, that is all that we have for you here from the exhibition floor. It's back to you, Fran.
Thank you so much. And with that, we've come to the end of our afternoon broadcast skills update. We'll be back with you at 7 o'clock tonight. That's with Patrick Sam, and he'll be analyzing and discussing especially what happened at the TVET conference, which is coming to a close today. Until tomorrow in the same time slot, from me, Franlin Thomas, do take care. Bye-bye.
Be a man of bravery. Be a man of bravery. This is what you are. This is what you are. This is what you are. Be a man of bravery. Be a man of bravery. This is what you are. This is what you are.